Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NRW.Global Business Fireplace Webtalk on business, technology and culture, enabling international cooperation. My name is Georg Löhr and I'm the representative of NRW.Global Business Japan here in Tokyo. While many of you will follow the Olympics here in Tokyo, be it from Japan or from Germany or elsewhere in the globe, we have today chosen a highly interesting and very important topic for many businessmen and researchers and people like ourselves promoting locations, be it in Japan, be it in Germany or in other parts of the world. Business, technology, and culture, these are three important pillars of international cooperation. Our organization, NRW.Global Business, with its headquarters in Düsseldorf, North Rhine-Westphalia, has been in Japan since 1992, and we have started this series of Fireplace Webtalks last April. Unfortunately, the corona situation here in Japan is currently not yet where we want to have it. So we, for the time being, will continue with these online events. Today, our special thanks go to the German Center for Research and Innovation, DWIH Tokyo, which has kindly supported us in this event by financing the translation for all of you. Now, let me shortly welcome today's panelists, and for this I will close my presentation and would like to ask everyone to come on board. Panelists, please join me. Excellent. So, we have here today with us Dr. Thomas Dietrich, CEO of IFAM Microtechnology Network, Dr. Andreas Merkel, Executive Team Manager, Energy Storage Europe, Messe Düsseldorf GmbH, Birger Nispel, Managing Director of AirMed Plus GmbH in Bochum, and last but not least, Axel Karpenstein, Program Manager of the DWIH Tokyo and Deputy Director of the DAAD Office Tokyo. Now, Axel, first of all, we would like to congratulate you on your 50th birthday.
How did that leak? But thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I thought it was a secret.
No, definitely not. In Japan, you know, there are no secrets. And
this is a big surprise.
We are very honored and pleased to have you here on this important day. And we value your presence very much because, you know, you could be sitting with friends in a sports bar in Tokyo or in a cafe or at home drinking coffee and having nice German cakes. But let's move on with the presentation and enjoy the afternoon nonetheless, or the morning, depending on where you are at present. Let's go back. And as we have already informed you in our on our website and in the invitation. The program looks such as this: welcome, guidance, and introduction through myself. Then Dr. Dietrich will speak about IFAM, its role as an association and network in German-Japanese business and technology cooperation. Then Dr. Merkel shall speak about how to succeed at German trade fairs. Obviously, he's the most qualified person to talk about that with his long experience also here in Japan. Then we have Birger Nispel, who will tell us how the Germans tick and what you need to be successful in intercultural sales. And Birger Nispel has for many years now done business with Japan and has great esteem here in Japan with our Japanese business friends. So we are very happy to have him here today. And our birthday child today, Axel Karpenstein, will talk about how to reap the potential of international industry science collaborations. For a country like Germany, and especially also for North Rhine-Westphalia, with its over 70 universities and many research institutions, obviously it is very important to foster and create industry science collaborations, and this not only in Germany but also across borders. And for this purpose, we have a number of German centers for research and innovation worldwide, and one of those is in Tokyo, very successful, and we are very pleased to have you here today once again. Now, we're all tired with Zoom, but here are just some basics for those who haven't used Zoom yet. Today, we have the interpretation function, so you can choose either to listen to the original language or to Japanese only or English only. Then we have the Q&A button for any questions you can pose in advance or during the Q&A sessions. And we have the raise hand function if you wish to participate in the open discussion. For technical inquiries, we also have the chat function. If there are any problems, please feel free to write us. And normally we would lock the Zoom meeting at around 4:15. For the open discussion, we have invited two very good friends from Germany and Japan. One is Mr. Dai Ueda, the head of JETRO in Düsseldorf, and another is Mr. Kentaro Ichimura, who works for an automotive engineering company, ERV, here in Japan, and who is currently researching issues of bridging technological cooperation between Germany and Japan. They will join us later during the course. If you wish to make yourself at home and make it easier for us to recognize you, why don't you put in your company name or your name in alphabet letters, then it will be a bit easier for us to find you. Now, this is our standard slide we have to show in the beginning. Our team here, the four of us, Ms. Yagihachi, who is now on summer holiday, Mr. Sugizaki and Mr. Kusuki and myself. And in the background also Sophia Brachtendorf and Wataru Ono, who are supporting us as interns. Thank you. And Our approach to markets, technology, innovation, since this is an important topic here, once again, we try to stay up to current issues, look at these issues from different perspectives, markets, products, technologies, companies, industries, and competences, and use our research for the discussions with our clients. Speaking of whom, the client is, of course, always in the middle of our focus, be it Japanese clients here in Japan, or be it NRW clients in NRW. And what we do is we try to connect them with the key stakeholders and help bridge the cultural gaps and help create success stories together with them. Now, everyone will have heard and seen and read in the media that we have had the biggest natural disaster in the history of North Rhine-Westphalia recently, especially North Rhine-Westphalia and Rhineland-Palatinate, Rhineland-Pfalz, were hit with severe loss of lives and also severe damage to property and infrastructure. And we can assure you that the NRW state government and the federal government, but also the many, many helpers who are working on the ground, are doing their utmost to improve the situation for those who have been affected. The Japanese business community has already done quite a bit to support with relief donations through the Japanese Chamber of Commerce in Düsseldorf. You see the link there. If you would also like to contribute, please feel free to go to the website and you will see the information there. Thank you so much for your understanding, for your support, and for your thoughts. Now, Corona in Japan, as I told you, we have Delta right now moving up the scale, increased numbers of people infected. We hope that we can get this under control here. In Germany, the picture looks a bit better. We have, as you can see, a lot of areas where Corona is under control, and we have in Germany also, as you can see, a relatively good situation, although some people are already talking of a fourth or fifth wave. But the good news is that vaccinations have moved very quickly, and we now have a high vaccination rate, first vaccination, but also second vaccination, as you can see here. So that feels a lot better now. I also had my shot yesterday, and I can tell you I'm really happy that now I have the 2 shots. Now, why choose NRW as your location in Europe? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that. We have shown them on this slide. I think most of you are already familiar. But one of the main reasons, of course, from Japanese perspective is that Düsseldorf and NRW are Japan's business hub #1 in the EU. That's clear because NRW, as a leading industrial region in Germany, has the highest population, the highest GDP, and the highest FDI in Germany as a state. And we also have a very large Japanese population with all the infrastructure and so on. However, it's not just infrastructure. To be successful, you need a lot of understanding, and you need people who are willing to welcome you. As you can see here, foreigners are at home in North Rhine-Westphalia. We have the most foreigners in Germany, in our state. We have a long tradition of living with and integrating foreigners. This goes back way into the Industrial Revolution and post-war era, reasons why international companies set up their German and European headquarters in North Rhine-Westphalia. Japanese companies started coming already in the 1950s to Düsseldorf and surrounding areas. So we are very much used to working with international citizens and visitors and open to meet and work with foreign companies. You can see this on this scale here of our total population. We have a lot of people who are there in the second generation already, who have moved to Germany from other countries and who have become German citizens. And also in the first generation, there are many who have moved to Germany and have become German citizens. So when we look at culture, there are, of course, very excellent experts who have studied these aspects in much detail. One person is Professor Hofstede, who has looked at these cultural differences from various aspects and shown that there are different views and different attitudes, of course, in each culture. I won't go into this in detail, but this is perhaps an interesting point you may want to look in on the website of Hofstede Insights or in his books. Now, another very interesting book which I recently read was by Erin Meyer, The Culture Map, which also lists up 8 different categories, so to say, of cultural interaction, and which shows where countries are located on these lines. And you see, for instance, on the point disagreeing, well, in Germany, we are somewhat more confrontational. In Japan, people try to avoid confrontation. We see that with regard to trusting each other, Japan is more relationship-based than Germany, task-based. But this is just a very rough picture. And of course, individuals may differ. And also on this scale, this is all relative to other countries. So you will find maybe in decision-making, the US or Russia on the far right side, where Germany are more, not as much as Japan, but more inclined to consensual decision-making. So these are just some of the issues we may also discuss later on. But now I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Thomas Dietrich, CEO, as I said, of IFAM Microtechnology Network here in the wonderful city of Dortmund. And here you see his CV. He has a long background in micro technology, and he has been working with Japan since 2015 as a coordinator for the business relationships in the area of medtech companies for the state of North Rhine-Westphalia and Fukushima. Dr. Dietrich, welcome, and please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Löhr. So let me start my presentation. I hope you can see everything. So again, thank you very much for this kind introduction. And I'm very pleased that this event can take place today. Thank you very much to NRW.Global Business, and of course to the team of Mr. Löhr in Tokyo and Düsseldorf for the perfect organization, and also to Mr. Karpenstein from the German Center of Research and Innovation for their support. Japan and Germany are very similar. Both nations are highly developed technology-wise. SMEs are the backbone of the economy, driving the country forward with their new developments and the hardworking employees. Both countries have recognized that internationalization is an important building block for the development of industry. Only internationally successful companies can also be successful in the domestic markets. However, small and medium-sized enterprises in particular have to overcome a number of challenges for which they need support. The respective governments in Japan and Germany, as well as the German states, for example, North Rhine-Westphalia, and the Japanese prefectures, have therefore launched support programs to help their companies become successful in the global markets. As similar as Japan and Germany are in many respects, there are also considerable differences. And these are mainly due to different cultural backgrounds, customs that have been handed down over generations, the way people interact with each other, the way they communicate with each other, and I don't just mean the language, also shapes behavior in business life. If you want to do business in Germany, you have to know the German way of life, the German rules, and you have to be able to apply to them. Of course, as well as vice versa. For this reason, we at IFAM already organized a number of meetings where we try to prepare German companies for their first visit to Japan. And today, I'm very glad that we can help the other way around. Today, we will report from different perspectives on what you have to pay attention to if you want to be successful in Europe. However, since you cannot learn a culture completely in a few hours, you should look for partners with whom you can build up relationship of trust and who you can then ask for support in individual questions. And one way to do that is to get in contact with business associations. In Germany, we like Vereine, what we call Vereine in Germany, networks, clubs, associations. In Germany, there are a total of 600,000 clubs. And of course, a lot of sports clubs. We are in Olympic times, so that's important also. And 30,000 of them are already more than 100 years old. But of course, we also have a lot of very innovative clusters on the high technology fields like microtechnology, nanotechnology, sensors, medical, and so on and so on. So the fastest way to get to know new friends, new business partners in Germany is contacting these networks, these Vereine, be member of it, and then it's much easier to get in contact with the business. As we are at IFAM one of these networks, high-tech business networks, I will use IFAM as an example how that works and how you can profit from being member of such a network. So let me first introduce a little bit IFAM, what we are doing. IFAM is an international microtechnology business network. That means internationally, we support members in many countries around the world. Our focus is microtechnology or all the related key enabling technologies like MEMS, nanotechnology, advanced materials, photonic sensors, and so on. Our focus is business. A lot of high-tech networks in Germany are focused on the research side, on the scientific side. But our focus is definitely the business. We want to help our members to make business and be successful in their business, which is not so easy in the high-tech field, as you all probably know. We are located in Dortmund. Dortmund is a high-tech area It comes from the times, IFAM is now 26 years old, and in the time of our foundation, Dortmund and the Ruhr area had to get over a very big change from the coal and steel industry into something new. And in this time, the city of Dortmund, together with the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, decided to focus on the micro technology. And at this time, IFAM was also founded as a network to support companies working in this area. And that's why we're still in Dortmund, and we can use the infrastructure here, which is excellent. So it's a good start in Germany. Our members are mainly small and medium-sized companies. You see this in this chart. The green part are the companies, and most of them are small and medium-sized companies, as they are the backbone of our industry in Germany. The red parts are research institutions, so we still also have, of course, research present in our membership. Our members are located not only in Germany, the majority, of course, in Germany, but also in other parts, in other high-tech countries in the world, including Japan. We have already some Japanese members, and hopefully get some more in the near future. The major target markets of IFAM members are, we ask them every year, where do you deliver your products? And the main area is, since several years, the medical technology. That's why we are very present in this field. Of course, we have no offices in the other countries, so we need partner associations, and we have them worldwide. In Japan, for example, we are working with the Micro Machine Center, and of course with JETRO very closely. Our companies' markets worldwide are, of course, in Europe and in the United States or China, but also a good portion, more than 50% of our companies work already with Japan and are interested in Japanese business. As suppliers as well as customers. That's why the reason why we also do a lot of trade fairs all over the world and help our companies to be present there. So, but back to the subject, what we want to show is, or what associations are for, is showing that members help members. That is a typical thing in Germany. We like to have these kind of associations, and these associations are organized by the members. Here you can see the organizational chart. The green part is the commercial part of IFAM, but here the General Assembly is the most important part, and here the members decide about the future of the association. They elect the executive board and the management. And let me focus on one point, and these are the focus group. They show how that works. In this focus group, we have different subjects like medical, of course, but also other technology and non-technology subjects like marketing and innovation. And companies come together here and discuss how they can be successful in the market. So what we do as an association, we connect members first of all, and so that members can help each other. But also we connect them, of course, with external companies. We do a lot of public relations. We help we accelerate the members' market entry worldwide, giving market information. But also influence decision makers in policy and other areas. So public relations is an important part. We have different newsletters, magazines, and journals where you can publish as a member your products, and we have a lot of companies reading these, a lot of people reading these. So that's a good multiplier for your ideas. Also, we have more modern ways of communication, like a blog with interesting articles. We do press releases, 2 different magazines where we are present regularly. We use, of course, social media marketing. So if you have any interesting information as a member, we provide the community with this information. Of course, we try to increase visibility also by organizing joint pavilions on fairs. For example, the Compamed Medica with Messe Düsseldorf. We have a very big booth there with more than 50 companies. And of course, small and medium-sized companies in such a big fair like Medica is not visible. But in such a big joint pavilion, it's very easy to get seen, and we organize here B2B meetings. We organize a seminar where all the companies can present their products and so on and so on. So that's how we help to increase visibility in the German and European market. But we do this also in the United States. We do it in China. Here in Singapore is something special. We always work together, as I said, with local organizations. And in Singapore, for example, with SPETA, the Singapore Precision Engineering Association. But also we collaborate here with companies, a joint pavilion from the Fukushima prefecture. We organize joint business meetings. We have a joint seminar. We have joint company visits. So we are working together with the Fukushima companies. As Mr. Löhr said already, I am coordinating the activities between Fukushima and NRW companies in the medical technology field. So what we do here is we visit with German companies the medical creation Fukushima once a year, and with the Fukushima companies we go to Medica and Compamed. We organize mutual seminars, exhibitions, B2B meetings, company visits, and so on. And this is very successful because we think that the direct contact between small and medium-sized companies is very important for building up good business relations. Mr. Nispel later will show you how that works with his experience here. Also very important is for these kind of networks, we try to give the newest developments, the newest innovations we provide our members. As you probably know, small and medium-sized companies, they live in their day-to-day work. They have a lot to do in their work. They have not too much time to get into very new technologies, but it's important that they know these technologies. And that's again something we want to do. For example, we have once a year our IFAM High Tech Summit, where we do with other associations together, like Optans, Nano in Germany, ARMA for sensors, MINACnet is a Dutch network on microfluidics mainly. And this year also with JETRO, we do this kind of conference to provide the newest informations on for our members. Also, we do conferences on very special subjects like quantum technology. Here we inform our members, but not only the members, about what's going on in this field, because we believe that this will influence the way we work in the future, even though maybe many SMEs do not work with quantum computers and quantum sensors at the moment, but they should be aware that this is coming. So important is that we do these kind of B2B meetings. We help companies meet each other, talk to each other. We help to develop markets and do workshops on these different markets, help them to learn about these markets. And then, of course, we do these kind of industry meetings where we not only provide technology information, but also, as we do today, some information about how to make business. So to come to an end, as a summary, I think associations, especially in Germany and maybe Europe, are a very fast way into the German market. Cooperation is here the key. You need to learn about the companies in Europe. You need to have someone who you can trust, who you can ask about the business in Europe and Germany. So associations are the best way to do that. They are the multiplier for your publications, for your product presentations, which is very important. And there's one issue which I always hear from foreign companies. What about competition within these networks? And yes, your competitors might be in this network, but don't be afraid of competitors. Work together with them for the benefit of all parties. There's always some synergy to find, and use this larger visibility of the association. And foreign companies are always welcome in German associations, and especially Japanese high-tech companies are welcome at IFAM. So thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Dietrich, for this excellent overview. We, of course, always promote IFAM when we hold discussions here with our clients, and we are very grateful that you support them in Germany. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we move on to Dr. Andreas Merkel. Most of you will already know him. He has been president of Messe Düsseldorf, Japan since 2007, but is now executive and team manager of the Energy Storage Europe with Messe Düsseldorf GmbH. This is his profile. He, as I said, worked here in Tokyo for quite a number of years, also in research. So he's really an expert, not only on trade fairs, but also into looking at German-Japanese cooperation. So, Andreas, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Georg. Thanks for the introduction, and hello, everybody. I'm trying to share my screen, and this is the part where things get difficult for the interpreters, because I'm going to deliver this lecture in Japanese, having in mind that most of our listeners are from Japanese companies. So I switch. 皆さん、こんにちは。ルアさんのご紹介ありがとうございました。今日の発表のテーマは、ドイツメス出展成功マニュアルということです。私が勤めましたメスデュッセルドルフジャパンは、そのメス出展マニュアルを一応発行しましたので、ご興味がありましたら、メスサイトに登録していただいて、ダウンロードすることができます。はい。今日の発表の流れは、自己紹介は後でスキップしますが、ドイツのメッセ業界の紹介と、その後、ディートリヒさんも、述べました、メッセデュッセルドルフが開催するメディカーコンパメ展の紹介をしますと、メインポイントはドイツメスと日本の展示会の違いについて話をさせていただきます。まずはドイツのメスの歴史について話をしますと、皆さんご存知なかったかもしれませんが、ドイツのメスの歴史がかなり古く、日本の鎌倉時代まで遡る歴史があります。第二次世界大戦の後でドイツの主な都市にメス会社が設立されましたが、主な所有者はその都市か州ではありますが、ドイツは相変わらず今でもメッセの本国でありますし、ドイツのメッセの国際性がかなり高くて、平均で言いますと、出展者の6割、来場者の3割は海外から参加しています。世界中のナンバーワンメッセ、つまり世界中のリーディング展示会は、ドイツの中で 60% は開催されています。 と、日本と違いまして、メッセ会場を所有する会社がメッセを運営することが多いんです。本社のメッセデュッセルドルフもそうです。ちょっと面積についてとか、メッセデュッセルドルフを簡単に紹介させていきますと、設立は1947年に設立されましたが、所有者はデュッセルドルフ市とノートライン・ベストファレン州ですが、ただ、一つ注目していただきたいのは、メッセデュッセルドルフは、一切補助金はいただいてません。逆に、配当金を払います。面積はドイツの会場の中で第4位ではありますが、ただ日本に比べますと、デュッセルドルフの展示会のメッセ会場の面積は、幕張メッセ、東京ビッグサイト、大阪の、メッセの合計よりは広いんです。我々はメッセデュッセルドルフが開催する40歳のメッセのうちで半分以上は世界のナンバーワンメッセではあります。簡単にメッセの、メディカの紹介をさせておきますと、世界最大の医療機器店メディカは、出店者の数は、5500社を述べました。1990年の数ではありますが、うちは日本から、出店企業は112社ではありました。来場者の数も、来場者の規模も多くて、来場者の数は12万を超えましたが、その3分の2はドイツ国外の、来場者でありまして、170カ国の、国から、来ましたが、出展品目とかは電子医療装置などをはじめ、ここに書いてあります。私はすべてを読み上げることはしません。PDF は後ほど皆さんに提供するので、詳細について後ほど読んでいただければと思います。一つ、メッセデュッセルドルフは日本の子会社がありまして、メッセデュッセルドルフジャパンなんですけれども、メッセデュッセルドルフジャパンにメディカ、コンパメント担当するものがありまして、服部と言います。服部さんはもう、歴史、出店者のケアとかを、歴史が長くて経験が豊富で何かご質問がありましたら、お気軽に、服部さんに声かけてください。アメリカの出店者の声をちょっと、申し上げますと、一つは、事例は鈴研ではありますが、鈴研さんが述べたのは、新規顧客開拓はもちろんのこと、各メーカーの製品のトレンドや市場ニーズを知る上で最適な場となりました。また、既存の顧客とも効率よく商談できるので、大変ありがたいですと述べていただきました。一つ注目していただきたいのは商談なんです。ドイツのメッセは商談の場であります。ちなみに、メディカと同時に開催される、医療機器店の医療、加工技術、部品、素材店のコンパメではありますが、出店者は、800社なんですけれども、2019年は、過去最高の、数ではありましたが、そのうちの中で日本の出店者も数多くありました。85社で、やっぱり全出店者の数の 10% を超えました。来場者は、メディカよりは少ないんですけれども、2万人を超えましたが、やはり、専門家が多くて、出店品目は、ここで書いてありますように、部品、モジュールなどなどあります。もちろん、メッセデュッセルドルフジャパンはメディカコンパメントについて、ホームページも、ありますし、その出店者の目録も、公表しています。ウェブサイトはこちらに書いてあります。コンパメントの出店者の声もちょっと、申し上げたいと思いますが、ナノグレインズなんですけれども、やはり、ここも重要なところ、出店も4年目となり、来場者もリピーターの方が増えるとともに、具体的な案件が入るようになりました。また以前、コンパメで出会った海外の医療機器メーカーの協定の、調印でもできた。継続して出店することの大変さを実感しました。こちらの重要なポイントは継続して出店することです。今日のメインのテーマに入りますと、ドイツのメッセと日本の展示会の違いについてちょっと申し上げたいと思います。例えば出店者、質問を申し上げますと、ドイツのメッセは出店者、来場者とともに国際色豊かなのはなぜでしょうか。 一つは注目しておきたいのは、日本と同時にドイツは、輸出の立国でありますが、各メーカーは、セールスのために、もちろん目的なんですけれども、メッセに参加すれば、出展者、来場者とともに、一つの会場で短期間で、商談を行うことができます。それは一つです。もう一つは、国際性の高さの理由は、ドイツのメッセのコンセプトに、ドイツ以外の出展者、来場者向けの国際的なプロモーション、マーケティングにすごく力を入れています。そうしますと、先ほど述べましたように、メディカの場合は170カ国の来場者が、ドイツに、行きます。もう一つは、会期中の、契約販売、契約数が高いのはなぜでしょうか。先ほど申し上げましたように、ドイツのメスは商談の場ではありますが、ドイツのみならず世界中から既存のお客さんとポテンシャルの高い新規顧客がメスに参加するんです。と、出展者はその、新製品、新サービスを紹介するだけではなく、やはり販売契約をもうすぐ体制で出展しています。それは一つと、もちろん、来場者の中で購入意思決定者が多いので、やはりメッセは、購入投資の場ではあるため、その契約の数が多いということで。したがって、メッセに参加する場合は、良い準備は成功のもとと考え、必ず事前にアポ取りをしてください。主な違いは、ヨーロッパのブースが高いんです。大きいんです。なぜでしょうか。ヨーロッパの企業のブースは大きいのはなぜ。まずは、そのブースは顧客との対話の場と考えてブースの構築に現れています。やはり顧客とのミーティングスペースを、本社から、企業からメッセに移転するような形になります。と、営業のスタッフも、数多く、参加しています。一つの事例を挙げますと、印刷機械メッセの、グルーパーに、世界のリーダーのハイデルベルク社は、やはり商談をするために、会社の営業スタッフの4分の1、4人の1人は、メッセに参加しているという、事例があります。メッセの出展の流れについて、ぜひ、これを説明する時間がないので、一回、メッセ出展成功マニュアルをダウンロードしていただいて、ぜひご覧になってください。一つ、ここで注目したいところは、メッセの参加は、メッセの本社、企業の出展者皆さんと、現地のメッセの子会社、デュッセルドルフの場合は、メッセデュッセルドルフジャパンと、やはりサービス業者との関係が本当に重要です。一緒にメッセの出展を成功させることは重要です。先ほど言いましたように、良い準備は成功のもとと言いますと、まずは具体的な準備や目的の設定。目的はいろいろありますけれども、例えばコンタクト関係の目的でありますが、既存の顧客との関係維持とか、新規の顧客開拓とか、いろいろあります。あるいは、販売関連の目的は、契約を結ぶこと、新販売ルートの開拓とかはあります。あるいは、戦略的な目的で、顧客と同業者とのネットワークを作ること、あるいは従業員のモチベーションを交渉するとか、そういう、市場情報を収集することです。ただ、その目的をできるだけ具体的にすることは一つの重要なポイントです。例えば、商談と言いますと、じゃあ大体、会社は出展者のことを知らない来場者と話をすると10分で終わります。10分は、1時間ですと、5回、商談ができる。8時間のメッセを考えますと、1時間の休憩を、引きますと、7時間。7時間かける、5つの商談は、1日で35の、商談を一応目的として、設定するといいんです。そうしますと、メッセの、ブースに参加する従業員も、かなりモチベーションがあって、具体的な目的が目の前にあるので、やりやすいと思われます。 もう一つは、やはり良い準備は成功のもとと言いますと、出店のコンセプトを明確にすることはポイントです。例えば、ブースのレイアウトですと、いろんなゾーンがあって、中に入れば入るほど、商談の、場を作る、商談に近くなるという、メッセージのコンセプトを考えるといいなと思います。というまでもなく、コンセプトにつながってるんですけども、そんな3秒ルールがあります。大体、アポのない、来場者は3秒内でブースに入るか入らないかということを決めるんです。だからその3秒で、来場者の注目を、取らないと、やはり、商談にならないということもあります。ブース装飾の業者も、やはり出店者のパートナーであるというふうに理解していただきたいんですけれども、ブース装飾業者と一緒に、そのターゲットグループの定義をすること、あるいはコミュニケーション目的を設定することは重要です。出店者側のコーポレートアイデンティティを、ブース業者に伝えることは大事なことです。メッセデュスラージャパンのサービスアライアンスに加盟する企業は、そのドイツをはじめ世界中のメッセの景気が豊富なので、ドイツあるいはメッセデュスラーが開催するメッセに出展していただく場合は、ぜひそのサービスアライアンスの業者に声をかけてください。もう一つ、事前のアポ取りは重要だということなんですけれども、なぜかと言いますと、特に、メッセ流出力が強い、展示会メッセは、B2B のメッセは、やはり、購入に関する意思決定を持つマネージャー層が多いんですけれども、このマネージャーたちは、効率よく準備を使うために事前アポ取ってます。別のメッセ会社の数字ではあるんですけれども、そのマネージャー層に属する来場者は平均で1日17のアポを取ってメッセに来てます。つまり、アポのない出店者のブースを訪問する時間はほとんどないことなんです。つまり、このような理由で、出店者はメッセの準備として、過去に引き合いやコンタクトのあった海外の企業はもちろんですけれども、過去に海外の展示会に出会った企業とその際、名刺を交換した相手に必ず事前にメッセに出展する、メッセに参加する情報を伝え、自分のブースに招待するはポイントであります。先ほども一回申し上げましたけれども、継続の出展は重要なんですけれども、リピート率の高い来場者と信頼関係を作ることは一つの理由です。と、デュッセルドルフのメッセでは継続出店者の場合は、リピーターの出店者がブースの位置を優先的にロケーションをもらうので、やはり、来場者にとって分かりやすくなります。それにより、ビジネス契約とかビジネスの成功に結びつくことになります。私の発表をこれで終了させてあげますが、ご清聴ありがとうございました。ご質問がありましたら、どうぞお気軽にご連絡ください。ただ、メルキと連絡するより、メッセデュスルオフジャパンでメディカコンパメント担当する服部と連絡を取っていただいた方が効率よくなると思うんですけれども、服部さんのメールはこちらに書いてあります。もちろん、日本語のウェブサイトメディカコンパメントでもあります。以上です。ありがとうございます。
Dr. Merkel, Andreas, thank you very much for this excellent presentation about your work and how to approach a trade fair exhibition in Germany. I think this is very helpful for the companies participating and also very important. So thank you so much. Now we would like to proceed to the next presentation with Mr. Birger Nispel, Managing Director of AirMed Plus GmbH. We are very fortunate to have in Mr. Birger Nispel a person who has real sales experience and management experience, not only in Germany, but also in Japan, and he's a real doer, as we say, or in German, a Macher, and we are very grateful that he took out time today to speak to us and to teach us a little bit based on his experience about the business with Japanese companies and what Japanese companies doing business in Germany should look out for. So, Mr. Nispel, the floor is yours.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Löhr. I have a question, but only if it is okay for you. And I know you are limited in time, so I come directly to the point. Is that okay for you? In how far is finding new customers in Germany, together with simultaneous sales increasement with your high price quality products, interesting for you and your company? Yes, very interesting. Thank you. To give you a tailor-made, custom-made information which can be perfectly adapted to your company, and how to achieve this with our company, I have only 2 or 3 questions. Is that okay for you? Minasama, this could be one possible approach to a German manager. Let me explain within the next 20 minutes why this strategy will work. My name is Birger Nispel. I'm the CEO of the company Airmed Plus. We are manufacturer of medical devices and located in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. I am a German, but by the memorandum of understanding between Prefecture Fukushima and NRW, I have visited Japan since 2014 many times. Since then, I have brought several Japanese companies into business contact with German and also with European companies. I love Japan and the Japanese people mentality, professionalism, and behavior. I wish this would be more common all over the world. This is why I created this seminar series about intercultural sales, where this current seminar is taken from. Today, I will give you a short, compressed first insight about how to do business with a German manager. You will see how easy it is to approach a German manager. Germany is a very big, high potential market with a lot of money and opportunities. But sales success is no coincidence. German decision-making managers are very special in the way of thinking and evaluating. Listen to the following example. For a Japanese manufacturer of electronic parts, I was asked to coordinate an appointment with a German medical device manufacturer. The German manufacturer asked me, hey, why should we have this meeting? The Japanese told, we are one of the biggest manufacturers in Japan. The German said, yes, but what is special in your products? And the Japanese told, we have over 500 employees and export to all over the world. The German ask again, what is in for me? And the Japanese, well, you can take advantage from our experience and quality. Yep. The German again, but what is in for me? Yeah, we have 100 different electronic thermistors and we can design them upon your request. Okay, but we only have standard thermistors. So what is your advantage? What is in for me? Minasama, you could imagine this meeting never has happened. I personally understood that the Japanese supplier only wanted to create trust with his comments. And I personally understood that the German manager wanted to know what is in for him. So don't expect that the German decision-making manager is waiting for a solution coming in the front door and that he will find out all the benefits for himself. German thinking is more direct and not context-based, and Japanese thinking is indirect and context-based. Learning for me, I would like to create a seminar series to help manufacturers and suppliers to approach the customer in the right way. To be successful, you need a navigation system, like a pathway. You need to follow the correct steps, like driving on the road. You need to know where do you want to go to, and you need to know the traffic rules. And you need to follow the rules. Theory is not enough anymore. Otherwise, the sales result will not become successful as expected. Here you can see an overview about the pathway from zero to hero partnership. At first, it starts with the customer avatar, your perfect customer, perfect online funnel for cold contact search. Then you create interest. You transform interest into request, so you warm up the customer. Assessment of customer needs. Presenting according demands of the customer. Objection handling, because Germans like to claim and to tell you objections. Second, assessment of customer needs. Personal face-to-face meeting, maybe on a trade fair then. Negotiation, Germans like to negotiate. Upsell product lines, so make you irreplaceable. And at last, customer lifetime partnership. So in which modules do you think you need to know how the Germans tick? Yes, you are right, correct. In all modules, you need to know how do the Germans tick. And you need to know what is behind the suit of a German manager. That's very important. You need to use the correct rhetoric tools. So for another instance, look at this. This could be your perfect product. If this is your perfect product and you need to place the perfect product into the head of your customer, then let me show how that could be. This is inside the brain of the customer. And you need to find the right gate. But if it is not passing by, the customer will not understand your product. So you need to find the right gate and you need to put it into the brain of your customer. So to that, put beside. Yeah, that is absolutely necessary. And how to understand the German better, I invited one typical German. Let me introduce to you Helmut. This is Helmut. Helmut, now you have a picture. So Helmut is our German avatar for today. Similarities in names with persons in presence are purely coincidental today. Helmut is looking very conservative and professional, has a critical view, defensive position of his arms. And I would like to tell you a story about Helmut and how does Helmut tick. So Helmut is not only an order lover. No, he might has invented order. Subcategories of order are organizational talent, efficiency, discipline, cleanliness, and punctuality. Ask how he is doing. Helmut often uses everything is in the right order, or in German language, alles in Ordnung, to express his current state. For Helmut, disorder or something leading to disorder is hardly acceptable. This is where one of Helmut's favorite pastimes comes from, sorting. You see it here in the cabinet. So sorting means to evaluate necessary or superfluous, cheap or expensive, useful or unuseful, right or wrong, good or bad. Everything is being cataloged. If something is new, Helmut is immediately evaluating it. Hardly any exceptions are made from this evaluation. German can rarely let 5 be even. It is typical for Helmut to strive for perfectionism. Even if perfectionism is a goal that can never be achieved, its existence is affirmed. It is therefore not uncommon for Helmut to be more concerned with ideas than with people. Ideas are pure, plannable, and predictable. People, however, can also be uncomfortable and angular. It is therefore important for foreigners to find out what is the ideal design of the product or service. So you have the chance to do the fine-tuning at your products and services accordingly. In general, Germans like Helmut are considered as serious, unspontaneous, and planning orientated. Spontaneous ideas are rather rare. Helmut clings to a set of rules and regulations. This fits in with his sense of order and duty. The principle applies: everything is forbidden, what is not expressly permitted. Helmut hates to break rules. But I give you a deep insight. Helmut in general longs to be understood and loved by other people. However, the demand for perfectionism and correctness stands in the way of that. In Helmut's mind, saying the truth is far better than deceiving the other one. When saying the truth, Helmut expects gratitude in return, but the criticized person perceives this as arrogant. So, what does this mean for your business? Well, first of all, you need to catch attention of a German manager. Remember, the German manager is very critical because of his negative dogma coming from the past experience, maybe with another supplier. When you get in contact with him, he might be in stress. You do not know in which situation he currently is. Trouble in the office, his boss criticized him, coffee is out, whatever. Your goal must be to get an appointment with him, to have his full concentration to your subject. Germans are indexing from the first second. So the opening of your approach must be very relevant to him. Relevance is everything which is bringing him into a good position, making money, being more successful, feeling better, having more coffee, whatever. Germans like to ask, for something, not to be told something. This comes from the attitude that they are well educated and that they believe they are already knowing everything. Telling them is something new, and telling them something new could be understood as arrogant. But if you let them ask for something new, it is in his own decision of the German manager to get the new information. You need to make him asking for something. Telling is pushing, asking is pulling. This is what we saw also on the slide of Mr. Löhr in the very first beginning of this webinar. So let's go back to the opening I have used today. Here is it again. I have a question, but only if it is okay for you. And I know you are limited in time, so I come directly to the point. Is that okay for you? By using this sentence, you ask for the permission to ask something. At this moment, the customer does not know anything about you, but you use the fact that a German is curious. A German wants to know what is in for him. Additional, you also do an objection handling. You know that he is limited in time, so he cannot say anymore, I don't have time now. The most popular objections of Germans are, I have no time, we already have a supplier, we have no money, it is too expensive. Based on the dogma, your major goal as a supplier is to get my money. All the benefits are on your side. That could be a dogma of a German. By the way, all these objections handling are part of a seminar series which I was talking about before. Due to the short time, I only focus now on the mentioned one. Also, Germans like to come to the point. Germans are direct. They want to be taken at the hand and guided directly to the solution. Coming to the point could be invented by the Germans too. They like it. Trust me, and try it next time when talking to a German. They might will be surprised, but definitely in a positive way. But there's more in this sentence. In this sentence, a psychological effect is considered. Here is it again. Yeah. And when you ask two questions in a row, mostly only the second one will be answered. So the second one here is, I come directly to the point. And which other answer than yes to the question of allowance to come directly to the point shall the German manager give to you? No one will say, no, please don't come directly to the point. I want to waste time. Germans do not want to lose time. No, you collect your first yes. And yes is a very positive word in the sales process. Do you agree? You are now allowed to go on and you have got the first attention. Now you go on with your benefits, but please use subordinated benefits first, to which the German manager only can agree. Please remember, you want to keep the German manager curious. What these subordinated benefits could be depends on your target group and your product. So, okay, we go on. In how far is benefit number 1? Finding new customers in Germany, together with benefit number 2, simultaneous sales increasement with benefit number 3 or complement. Your high price quality products interesting for you and your company. For sure, these are examples chosen by me for this seminar. You need to exchange it to your own benefits and to your own complement. You show 3 benefits to him. No German manager would say now, well, we don't want to find new customers and we also do not want to increase revenue. And by the way, we don't have quality products in our pricing and our pricing is very low. No one would say that. Now the level of attention is rising and the German manager will be more and more curious to find out how he can achieve this. His answer can only be, yes, I'm interesting. But attention, please. Maybe you do not know what is important to the customer. You need to find out what is important to him first. Because when you know what is important to him, you can do the fine-tuning for your perfect presentation. This is called this is what we call a customer focused presentation. If you show him unimportant advantages, he will lose his curiosity. If you talk about vegan food to a steak lover, your success will be very low to convince to eat a steak. At this point, I would like to emphasize the importance of the correct customer avatar, as detailed as even possible. You would learn more about this in the ongoing seminar series. Okay, now you go on. Thank you. To give you appreciation 1, your tailor-made, custom-made information, appreciation 2, which can be perfectly adapted to your company, and outlook to the future. How you can achieve this? I have only 2 or 3 questions. Is that okay for you? You use thank you, which is polite. Now you use appreciations because you remember Helmut wants to be loved and accepted. You give him what he is looking for. Also use the magic word, tailor-made or custom-made. Everybody is dreaming of an individual personal handmade suit. In this way, you create pictures in the head of your customer. The second appreciation follows. Here's it again. Perfectly adapted to. That is also what the German manager would like to hear, because your solution is not common, it is not mainstream, it is individual. And it is individual made for him. Your rhetoric firework continues with an outlook into the good future. When you create a picture for a better future in the customer's head, you will definitely get his attention. Now it is important to him to find out what exactly are his needs. So it's important for you, not for him. Ask the right questions now. I bring in some examples of possible questions which you could ask now. First suggestion. When you think about product X is now your service, it's now your product. What is most important to you? So it's an open question, and the customer can not only tell yes or no. He needs to tell you what is really important to him. Suggestion number 2. I assume you have already a supplier. When a new supplier would come up with the ideal solution exactly made for your demands, how should this product or service look like? So this is also, you do an objection handling, because you cannot say, I have already a supplier. We continue with suggestion number 3. Mr. Customer, or Helmut, whenever product X, that's your product, is new, there are always 2 parties. Some say another new thing, another different thing. Oh my God, nobody needs that. And the others say, great, you can open your markets, reach your customer groups with this, save cost. What do you think about this? And then he will tell you his position. Suggestion number 4. Many of our customers say that they use our devices to get benefit number 1. Yeah, that is, or a product X to get benefit number 1. This is need to be exchanged by your product and your benefit. Again, many of our customers say they use product X or our devices to get benefit number 1. Would this also be a reason which is important to you? And now you listen very carefully to what the customer will tell you, and you take your notes. And these notes are important because you can adjust your product and service up to what the customer expects and tells you, not more and no less. And then a presentation phrase could be like that. Exactly this. And now you insert the customer expectation, which you have heard from the customer, is given in our services or products. We can say this because, and now you tell him some proofs or testimonials. What about a personal meeting on the 13th of July at 11:30 at our booth at Medica, or first Zoom meeting in front of the Medica to prepare the personal meeting, to show you how it works and that our product fulfills your demands. So you listen to the customer, and when your product fulfills his demands, you tell him that this will be exactly the case with your product. And then it is important for the German to get some proofs, either in written or in video or testimonials, whatever. This is in your preparation in advance. If you do it that way, a German manager will appreciate your approach much more than others, because you show deep interest into what he wants, and you are interested to know his expectation, and you want to know more about why it is important to him. So this is a high grade of respect. Might he does not have made experience about this. You help him to categorize your product and services. You help him to make decisions faster. You prove that it is correct what you promise by your perfect customer-focused presentation. You give him a structure, which the Germans like so much, a structure and understanding, and show him order, which do the German like so much. You found out what the ideal product is for your customer and your market. And when you do the presentation in that way, and you show the customer that he will get what he wants to get, you meet the highest expectation of a German customer. And finally, you reach the golden standard, which a German manager would like to reach: perfectionism. You see, it is very easy to tell or to sell, to tell to a German manager and to sell to a German manager. And this is only an excerpt from the whole webinar, which includes perfect argumentation, objection handling, finding customers online, business culture, negotiation, etc. If you like to know more about them, please go to my website www.birgernispel.de/JP123. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope I could give you some toolboxes and some insight into the German thinking of a German manager. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Birger Nispel, thank you so much. And also thank you to Helmut for helping us understand how to approach a German CEO. Now, I think there were a lot of excellent practical suggestions in what you have told us today. And I'll be, of course, curious to look at what you are continuing to do on your website. And we look forward to the day when we can welcome you back here in Japan. Thank you so much. So let's move on now to the next presentation, which is by Axel Kerpenstein, Deputy Director of the German Center for Research and Innovation, DWIH, and of the DAAD office in Tokyo. Mr. Karpenstein has a deep relation to Japan. He studied in Hamburg in the US and also taught at university in Japan, and he has been active for DAAD in Germany, in Bonn, since 2017, and since 2020 he has been working as program manager at DWIH Tokyo and deputy director of the DAAD office in Tokyo. Now, he has a great interest in the topic of university industry collaboration. Some of you may have already joined his coffee talks, which he holds from time to time. And so, Axel, we are very grateful that you are joining us today to tell us a little bit more about industry.
Yes, hello, and thank you very much for the introduction. I hope my connection is stable.
Perfect.
Okay, yes, you were cut off before. Thank you very much, Georg, for the very kind introduction. I couldn't imagine a better place or a better circle to celebrate my birthday than celebrating with all of you. And I really enjoyed the previous presentations already. The German Research and Innovation Forum Tokyo, or in short DWIH, we are a frequent partner of NRW.Global Business. We hold a lot of events together. We have a very deep connection, so it's a particular pleasure today for me to join this event and introduce a topic that is both very interesting to me personally, but that I hope I can also get you interested in for reasons that I will talk about in the following. I try to pursue two objectives today. And the first one is that I want to show you that there's great potential and also great and necessary opportunities for both German businesses and Japanese businesses to cooperate with science, with academia, with universities in the respective other country, also in one's own country, of course, but especially so on the international level. And I'll also talk about culture involved, and especially in the form of organizational culture at universities vis-a-vis the private sector. There are quite a lot of differences, as we will see, plus the differences across nations. So this is actually a rather complex issue, and as you will see, it's perhaps not surprising that we are at a very early stage in international cooperation with regard to this issue, with regard to industry science collaboration, or as it is sometimes also called, university-industry collaboration. The issue has received a lot of attention, especially in Japan. If you Google the Japanese term Sangaku Denki, so industry-academia cooperation, you will find the Japanese ministries, the Education and Science Ministry, the Ministry for Trade and Industry. They're all promoting a lot of activities in this area. And today it's up to me to show you why this is such a fascinating topic and such an interesting opportunity. Now, I want to do three things. I want to show you the potential of industry-science collaboration. I'll talk about obstacles, and I will also try to give you some guidelines how to pursue a cooperation to that extent. Now, industry-science collaboration, there are a lot of different issues really that are of importance here, but what I want to limit myself today to are what you see here in the top left corner under types of ISC or industry science collaborations. So formal agreements, especially joint projects or commissioned projects by industry mainly vis-a-vis university researchers. The licensing of patents from university research is also an important issue here. There are a lot of other different issues that are really important too, but unfortunately we don't have the time to talk about today. Now, why does it make sense for private corporations and universities to cooperate in the first place? The issue, I think, has gained traction over the past 20 years or so, a little bit longer in the United States, where there's been a strong focus in the early 1980s. Both industry and academia have different missions. You can see that if you take a look at the diagrams on the right. I displayed here different types of research and development expense, so expenditure, spending. The upper diagram shows spending by the private sector on 3 different types of R&D activities: basic research, applied research, and development research. The lower one shows the share of these 3 R&D activities for higher education institutions or universities, using the example of Japan. As you can see, industry and academia, they're on very different missions. Industry focuses much more on, oh, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button here, on developmental R&D spending, on applied spending. I showed you the graph here for Japan. If you would take a look at Germany, the amount of spending on applied R&D activities and developmental activities is actually fairly the same. What's common to both countries is that there's very little investment in basic research. This makes sense since basic research is not targeted. It's more interested in more fundamental scientific problems to explain phenomena of the physical, the chemical world and what's not. This is really the realm where higher education institutions, universities are traditionally placed. As you can see from the lower graph, there's much more investment on basic research. Now, why does it make sense then for both to cooperate? They're both complementary. For industry, it's very attractive to tap into the university's very large reservoir of R&D research, basic research. It's also a very convenient way to reduce risk on R&D activities and to save on R&D expenditure by collaborating with universities. For academia, this issue to cooperate with the private industry has become more important over the past few decades, partly because universities try to emerge from the proverbial ivory tower. There's a term, the third mission. Universities try to engage more with society, including with the private sector, with private corporations. It also enables universities actually to carry out R&D research more efficiently by accessing more funding, having access to equipment, and also to by obtaining data from the private sector. So it makes a lot of sense for universities and for private firms to cooperate. They do that already on a national level. But if we go over to the international level, to have, for example, Japanese firms cooperate with German universities, or German firms cooperating with Japanese universities, that is so far underdeveloped. As you will see in the following, there are additional problems in addition to the problems that we already have at the national level. But it does, in fact, make a lot of sense. Why? Because you expand the reservoir of research you can tap into. Both Japan and Germany, they're leading science nations. There's a lot of research produced that is not so far, in fact, used by the private sector. There's a lot of technology developed. There's a lot of innovative ideas. I gathered some statistical data here just to show you how important it is for both countries to cooperate together. Germany, for example, is ranked number 6 in the European Innovation Scoreboard 2021. It's an innovation index that just came out about 2 months ago. Japan is heralded as an innovation leader, and it's frequently singled out as being far ahead of the European average. So it's an important country, and it makes a lot of sense for both countries to cooperate with the respective other. We can actually go further into the countries on the more regional level. In the Global Innovation Index, that's the prime index really for innovation, for national innovation activities worldwide. The Science and Technology cluster Tokyo Yokohama is ranked currently as number 1. If you have been to Japan, you know it really is very within reach. All these connections between corporations, between universities, between different institutions. That is very promising, actually, as a basis, as a foundation for exchange. The SNT, the Science and Technology Cluster, also Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto, now has been ranked number 6. It's also one of the leading SNT clusters worldwide. For our partner, NRW Global Business, it's probably also important, and for you, since you're watching today and you're interested on the Japanese end to cooperate with Germany, the region around Cologne is in fact the leading German science and technology cluster. It's placed at number 19. It also has to do with the regional structure of Germany. It's much more regionally oriented than Japan, in fact. So it is important for both countries to work together. For universities, if you are a researcher, if you come from the side of the spectrum, it's also actually very promising, because by cooperating with the private sector from the other country, it expands your customer base to market university research. And to market university research actually has become a very important issue over the past 20 years or so for universities as well. Let me walk you through some basic data. I hope you can bear with me. This is important because it shows you where Germany are, where Germany and Japan are, and why there's such a huge potential still left to reap. Now, what you see here is data from the World Bank. It's based on a survey, an annual survey conducted, in which different leaders from the business world, from public administrations are asked to rank university industry cooperation activities. At the bottom, you see rank number 25. So all the answers are transferred into translated into a ranking. At the very top is, in fact, in 2020 Israel, followed by Switzerland and Finland. You can see on the national, in general, on the cooperation side, between industry and universities, Germany already ranks fairly highly at number 8 currently. Japan is a little bit lower, at place 20. These values also actually aggregate 2 different levels, and that is the national level, national cooperation between industry and academia, and the international level. This year, it's a different kind of statistics that I show you here. It's expenditure in higher education institutions that stem from industry. So basically industry sponsorship for university research. You can see here, Germany actually ranks on the national level very highly. 13.5% of higher education R&D expenses come from industries. That has to do with a particular structure of the German higher education systems. If you're familiar with it, you know about the universities of applied sciences, universities that have very strong relations to the public, to the private sector, and to industry partners. There are also technical universities that have very strong links there. As you can see here, for Japan, the cooperation between universities with industry partners has been slightly increasing over the past 10 years or so, but still at a much lower level. So there's still a lot of benefits to be wrapped here, actually. The picture is much more interesting when it comes to our issue today. When we talk about international cooperation, both Japan and Germany actually rank fairly lowly, much lower than the other countries that I introduced earlier, Israel, Switzerland, Finland. There's also the United States and United Kingdom displayed here. The United Kingdom is also a country that actually already has very strong international cooperations between science and industry. To give you a very clear sense, really, what the dynamics are, I gathered some information on 2 universities from Germany and 2 universities from Japan to show you how exactly cooperation plays out. You can see 3 different types of categories here. Scientific co-publications. This is a measurement of joint research projects. The first university displayed here is the University of München. It's actually the one in Germany currently with the highest number of research publications. It does in fact have, at least among the top 500 partners, it doesn't have any significant corporate partners with regard to research. The second category publication sponsorship, that refers to research being sponsored from the private sector. You can see in the second example, the University RWTH, the University of Aachen, actually has quite a few industry sponsors here. There's a third category, co-patents. So this is actually where partners from industry and from academia together file for patents. So it's a measurement of applied and developmental R&D activities, especially. You can see here, there's a little bit of activism when it comes to technical universities. I didn't show you a picture here of universities of applied sciences, but you would find a very similar picture. In fact, that is a lot of research already is sponsored by the private sector. There's also a noticeable amount of co-patents, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. If you take a look at the RWTH here, you can see publication sponsors. Altogether, that's about 38 institutions out of 500. So the vast majority of cooperation partners is still actually limited to universities or the public research institutions. This is the picture for Japan. You can see that Japan is a little bit more active when it comes to national cooperations between industry and academia. In green, you can actually see there are also some cooperations already with Germany in sectors where it makes sense actually to try to tap into Japanese research and innovation. BASF, for example, is a company that in fact cooperates already with quite a number of Japanese universities. Okay, that was a lot of data, but what I wanted to show you here is that it's very important to realize there's a lot of potential to make use of here. Here, just in brief, are the top partners in Japan currently engaged in such activities. as you will see, the area around Tokyo plays a very large role. It makes sense. It's a very strong science and technology cluster. The area around Osaka makes sense. So if you want to cooperate, these two clusters would be your natural partners. But this is not to neglect other important regions. For example, Tohoku University, it's a university located up north in Sendai. This is actually also one of the leading institutions currently. So I wanted to talk about problems and also solutions, and also about the issue of culture, national cultures, and also organizational cultures to the extent that it becomes important here. Some issues are maybe not so important. For example, in order to cooperate internationally, of course, you need to know something about the background of your partners. You need to know the national innovation system. If you're from Germany, you need to know how do Japanese universities tick, how's the university system structured. The same goes vice versa. There's another important issue, how to locate suitable partners. How, if you're a Japanese corporation, you're interested in additive manufacturing, how do you find partners at German universities to cooperate with? How do you actually then connect with your partners? And finally, there's also the general framework of the regulatory environment and the intellectual property rights regime in the respective country. Now, when it comes to national innovation systems, I just want to direct you to some links. Please do check out, for example, our website of the DWIH Tokyo. You find information there about the German research and innovation landscape. There's also a project, Research in Germany, where you can find information. For Japan, a natural place to look would be the Ministry of Education and Science. There are some important issues that you need to realize when you cooperate with Germany, for example, the different types of universities that exist. For example, as I mentioned earlier, that universities with a technical focus or University of Applied Sciences are natural partners, and that they already cooperate very strongly with the private sector in Germany. In Japan, there's a much more important divide between the strong research universities, especially located in Tokyo and in Osaka, and regional universities. How do you locate suitable partners? Well, here I think I would skip the detailed manual and would also again direct you to contact us, for example. But in general, if you know about bibliometric databases are databases that contain all the published academic research articles. These databases are your friend because they enable you to look up very specific types of research, grouped by countries, for example, grouped by particular fields of research, and also according to several keywords. I did this here. It's maybe not so easy to see, but I looked up cooperation partners in Germany for printed electronics, a very important issue that a partner of the DWIH Tokyo actually has a very interesting event on in September. And you will see, for example, the leading institutions in Germany to partner with would be, for example, the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, or Offenbach University, or the Technical University of München. How do you connect? Now, this is already not so easy on the national level, and it becomes more difficult when we come to the international level, because we have the geographic distance, we have language barriers, we have issues with general cultures. We heard already a little bit about different attitudes, values, different customs today. My advice would be to ask the experts if you want to connect their organizations, German organizations, for example, active in Japan, the German Research Foundation, the Fraunhofer Society, which focuses a lot of applied research, which is very interesting and relevant. These would be very good partners to contact, and they would help you navigate the domestic landscape. DWIH Tokyo, of course, and our network of partners, which includes, for example, NRW.Global Business, would be another partner to contact. It's very important, I think, and this is something that I need to emphasize a lot, to make personal contacts. It's very important in Japan, and in order to carry that out, it's important to connect with people in person. This is has been difficult since last year, but we're trying to bridge this gap that we have by not being able to meet in person through online events. You can check our website there. We do host events that also relate to this issue, and our network of partners also has very important events. Now, you need to establish personal ties. This is very important because this enables you to get a foot into the interesting places with research that you might be interested in. You need to work on these relations. I think it's very important to maintain relations, to keep in touch, even if you're not currently pursuing a project together, but you might be in the future. So it's very important to send an email once in a while, or ideally to visit the other partner. Now, this is an important issue, organizational culture. We talked about culture a little bit today. What I want to emphasize is there are different organizational cultures within the industry versus within academia. This relates to different objectives, expectations, to different, I would call it operating speeds, so different ways how you go about projects, different project management. This is already a hindrance in Germany, for example, in industry science collaboration, and it is a hindrance in Japan, and it's also, of course, a difficult issue internationally. In fact, a recent survey by the Ministry of Education and Science in Japan singled it out as perhaps the biggest problem for industry science cooperation because of the incompatibilities between firms and academic cultures. There are also particular issues. I think in many firms find that cooperating, especially with national universities in Japan, it tends to be a little bit slow moving, it might be bureaucratic. Sometimes you come also across particular mind frames. Researchers are very independent by nature, so you need to level in order to cooperate effectively. There's good news, because the institutions that help you with this, the Japanese government has paved the way, for example, about 20 years ago by enabling so-called TLOs, technology licensing offices. These are offices, if you are in Germany, if you want to cooperate with Japanese universities, you need to keep them in mind. These are offices established to help you establish liaisons with universities in Japan and to help you with technology or knowledge transfer issues. Sometimes these are actually separate from universities in Japan. In Germany, there are similar institutions, departments for technology transfers, but these are usually actually at the universities. The advantage in Japan is, to some extent, they're independent. They're also staffed a lot of times with members from the private sector, so they know different operating cultures. A lot of times they also cover actually more than one university. They might enable you to tap into research from different universities and find partners there. Now, I stretched my time limit a little bit, and I apologize for that. So I won't get into the regulation and the intellectual property environment, but just one thing. Over the past 20 years, both in Japan and Germany, there has been a lot of progress made. So it's become easier. It's become easier to acquire patents. It's become easier, or there are more incentives for universities to engage in commercial activities of research. So this is a background, I think, that makes it very promising. It's not only a big potential to cooperate, but in order to make sure that our economic future of Japan and of Germany is secure, that we continue to be leading countries, I would argue it's also essential really to bridge the geographic divide and cooperate internationally. Thank you very much for your interest, and I conclude here.
Yes, Mr. Kartenstein, Axel, thank you so much for this deep insight into the topic of industry, university collaboration, and I think there are quite a few takeaways there. We have also in NRW quite a few Japanese companies which are collaborating with leading universities. One of the most recent larger investments was a company from Osaka, Daikin. It's Daikin Chemical business invested to set up a new research center in Dortmund after scanning the research and academic field in Germany and Europe, and they found the right partners in Nordrhein-Westfalen, so we are very happy about that. But we have other companies like Denso or Komatsu, Mitsubishi Electric, and many others who are using this. And as you pointed out in your presentation also, you said that there is quite a big weight on application related research. I mean, I think this is, of course, what most companies are interested in, to find new solutions, new products for their customers, using the very highly developed technologies and skills of universities in our both countries. And as you rightly mentioned, I think there are few partners which are so well suited for each other as Japan and Germany. So thank you once again. Now, I would like to open the panel discussion, and for this purpose, let me welcome additionally Mr. Ueda-san. Do we have you already on board? I hope my colleagues can elevate you to come on to the panel. Konnichiwa, Ueda-san.
Konnichiwa.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And we also have Kentaro Ichimura. I think he will also be joining us soon. So we have today had a very broad look and deep look into many aspects governing or impacting business, culture, technology between our countries, and the different tools and institutions, roles we have for addressing these issues and problems in order to be successful in whatever we do in business or in research and development. Now, I would like to ask Ueda-san about Ueda-san. Let me introduce Ueda-san. Ueda-san is probably already known to most of you because he's an old hand in the German-Japanese business relationships, and recently retransferred to Germany. I think this is your, I don't know, third or fourth time in Germany. So you are certainly someone who is very well placed to comment on this issue of culture, business, and technology cooperation. I admire how active recently JETRO has been on also online events, and yeah, maybe you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your focus is on this topic.
はい、ありがとうございます。今日は大部分の参加者が日本の方だと思いますので、日本語でお話をさせていただきます。私、昨年ですね、昨年の10月からジェトロ・デュッセルドルフの事務所長をしておりまして、ドイツ勤務3回になります。前回もデュッセルドルフ勤務ということでですね、今日参加されている講師の方々とも古いお付き合いをさせていただいておりまして、誠にありがとうございます。今日のトピックに絡みまして、最近のジェトロの取り組みについてご紹介をさせていただきたいと思います。 中小企業のドイツへの海外展開の支援、あるいはドイツの企業の日本へのビジネス展開、これはジェトロは双方向でお手伝いをさせていただいておりますけれども、最近特に力を入れておりますのが、いわゆるイノベーションに向けたですね、日独の連携の強化というところでございます。日本もドイツもカーボンニュートラルの目標達成ということですとか、あるいは産業のデジタル化ということでですね、100年に一度という大きな改革の時期に入っております。で、双方ともパートナーを求めているところでありまして、イノベーションをより早く進めるために、日本とドイツの研究機関であるとか、企業を結びつけるということをやっております。で、先ほど来、産学連携のお話があったんですけれども、実はジェトロはですね、日本の主だった大学と連携協定をすでに結んでおりまして、日本の大学の関心はやはり大学の国際化、それは研究にですね、もっと外国企業を入っていってもらうとかですね、あるいは自ら大学から出ているスタートアップの海外ビジネス展開をもっと進めたいというところに関心があります。それから実はドイツの大学も最近私ども関係を深めさせていただいておりまして、ここ NRW 州ですとアーヘン工科大学とですね、一緒にセミナーをやらせていただいたりしております。で、最近のその日本企業さんのニーズがですね、やはりイノベーションのパートナーを探すというご依頼が多ございまして、私どもの事務所にもですね、ドイツだけでなくてヨーロッパ中の日系企業からですね、こんな面白い技術を持っている会社はないかとかですね、面白いスタートアップを探しているんだけどっていうお問い合わせをいただいておりまして、こういうご依頼を受けたときにですね、こちらの大学とか、あるいはいろんな協会とか、そういったところと連携をしながら、企業をご紹介するというような、サポートを最近やらせていただいているところでございます。この分野っていうのはこれからもっとたくさん発展する余地があるんではないかなというふうに思っております。まずは以上でございます。
Thank you so much, Ueda-san. Yes, and I think what is very important for Japanese companies to understand is, of course, the opportunities that are out there, the support which is given by numerous institutions, and the high level of cooperation that can be achieved. But I think, as Birger Nispel has explained, I think quite well, it's very important to understand how to address the issues or how to understand the thoughts and thinking of the partner on the other side, to be able to find the right solution, so that when a Japanese company has this unique chance to speak to a German company, wherever that may be, at a messe location or at a conference, or in just approaching to do business, to learn how to identify the key drivers, so to say, governing the thought process of the German partner, or also vice versa, the Japanese partner. I think these are points we have to focus more also in the future, and that's why I think Mr. Nispel's presentation was very practical and very helpful also in that respect. Now we have someone from the technology side, Kentaro Ichimura. Welcome. Nice to see you here. And I understand that you originally worked many years for Honda, so right at the core of developing Japanese automotive technology. And then you have started working for not an NRW company, but for a company called IAV, which is also doing a lot of consulting with regard to automotive technology and cooperation. But personally, also for you, it is a big challenge to bridge to find the bridge between the Japanese and the German engineers, the collaborators. And I understand that you are also looking at this as part of your research at Chiba Institute of Technology. Maybe you tell us a little bit about what your where you see the issues and the problems.
Okay, thank you very much, Roel-san.
And I forgot to mention, Sie sind Kölner.
Yeah.
You went, you have a very close relationship to Cologne since you spent a few years living in Cologne many years ago. So you already know to some extent how the Germans stick. Dozo, sumimasen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roel, and thank you very much for this great opportunity and for great this presentation. It was great for me today, and thank you for your time. Vielen Dank. As I kindly have introduced from Mr. Roel, I'm currently working on a German automotive engineering company that named IAV, ERV in Germany. Es bedeutet Engineering Gesellschaft Auto und Verkehr. So this means engineering company for automobile and traffic. And currently my role is bridging the headquarters in Germany side and Japanese customer such as a car maker or suppliers and so on. And and I found currently in this automotive industry, as you may know, so in the former times it was a vertical connection for the companies. However, currently it's becoming worldwide on a horizontal relationship, so that many companies combined to the automotive company, as you know, as automotive, autonomous driving or connecting and so on. So currently it's becoming so complicated situation on this worldwide corporate project. So that I found out this importance, and beside on my business, I started my PhD program in university. And today I am very happy to hear many great hint and tips for this cross-culture business. And I do not so much make up much time, but just say hello, and I look forward having further opportunity with all of you. Vielen Dank.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, we have, of course, also companies similar to ERV, friendly competitor FEV in Aachen, who are also active in Japan. But I think this Japan is becoming more and more open with regard to such technology cooperation, and we are, since we are in a really in a disruptive time of disruptive change coming from the internal combustion engine going to the electric motor and all the things that come with that, including, of course, autonomous driving and so on. So there's a lot of potential to collaborate in that area. Yes, certainly. Herr Dr. Dietrich, would you like to comment a little bit on what you have heard today?
Yeah, I think we heard a lot about how corporations work between people from different cultures, and the most important part, of course, is that you have to learn about the other one, and that you have to understand how what Birger said, how the other side is ticking. This is very important. This is important for Germans making business with Japan and the other way around. And I've seen here questions in the chat, in the Q&A, session about how about the language. I think the language is not the main thing here. Of course, it would be easier if everyone could speak perfect English, but we are all not native English speaker, not on the German side, not on the Japanese side. And it's more than language. It's you have to think like the other one to get real business. That's what Birger tries to explain, and that was Andreas Merkel tried to explain when you go to a fair. Of course, it's different if you go to a Japanese fair and compared to a German fair. So you need advisors. You need in the question was you need a kind of coordinator. And we did that in the Fukushima NRW project by having two coordinators. Mr. Ito was from the Fukushima side. My role was from the NRW side. We understand each the countries where we are coming from and could help to translate. So the question is, the language is important. We have to take care of that. And but I learned also that Japanese are much better in English nowadays compared to 20 years ago when I started contacts with Japan. So that works, but still the cultural difference is that what hinders the project. And so seminars like today, or what Birger is doing in his seminar series, or what's coming from DWIH on the cooperation between universities and companies, that helps to understand each other and helps to get the next step forward. So my advice to everyone is talk to people, build a network, ask people. JETRO is very good here, helps a lot. On the German side, we have the associations, for example, helping, or organizations like NRW.Global Business. So use all this on both sides. Don't be afraid of competition. So talk to everyone, find the best solution. And I think that's what we learned in all the talks today.
Yes, thank you so much. Andreas, I mean, you've been in Japan many years and are now back in Germany. You probably initially had quite a culture shock being back in Düsseldorf. But I mean, how has it been adjusting back to German business? And have you taken any, key takeaways? Have you found any things which you really brought from Japan, which you found very valuable and helpful for the work you are doing in Düsseldorf?
You are
I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
I can't hear. No, this is a point where I do agree with Dr. Dietrich that the main question is mutual understanding. When I transferred back to Germany, I had in mind this kind of customer relationship that Japanese companies are used to, which is partly different in Germany. So the idea of serving a customer is different. And different is the idea of participating in a trade fair. So it is important to understand in what kind of surrounding somebody is moving. And I learned that our German customers, our German trade fair exhibitors could actually benefit from how Japanese companies treat their customers. So this customer orientation is something very Japanese, very unique, which helps German companies to improve their competitiveness. On the other hand, we see that this mutual exchange helps Japanese companies to understand how business is done in Germany. So I think I do agree when we say language is important, but language is not the main barrier. However, I still think given the fact that we also interpret this seminar, it is still a thing to consider. But maybe you are right, Dr. Dietrich, the level of mutual knowledge of languages is increasing. So maybe in 20 years, we don't need interpretation at all. But at the moment, we need it. Again, we can learn from each other. If we talk, if we try to understand each other, we can learn from each other. This is something I experienced again, being back in Germany after 17 years in Japan.
Yeah, well, I think that is very important. I also always say everything starts by talking to each other, yeah? And of course, learning from each other, of course, trying to avoid those pitfalls of kind of stereotype perceptions, yeah? And as we can see in sports right now, in the Olympics and sports in general, data is becoming more and more important in learning how to read the data, how to interpret the data, because data helps you to interpret things or even to kind of objectify decisions, yeah. And but still, and I think such basic, to understand such basic concepts also, intercultural concepts, as we have mentioned in the beginning, be it Hofstede or Erin Meyer, who is at INSEAD. I think to have such basic concepts in mind and to understand that, okay, Japan may be in this respect different from Germany or from the US or from Russia or Israel, but again, this is a relative measure, and that within this relative measure, there are also actually quite different persons in Germany you have to deal with. So that brings us back to this really very basic question of how do I understand my counterpart, yeah? Be it the CEO of a company, or be it the person at the Messe booth, or be it the person who I may have the chance to talk to about some technological improvement. How do I approach a person to sell a machine, yeah? A special machine maybe which can produce masks, the first quality masks or things like that. So I think there's a lot of learning scope in that for us. Birger Nispel, how was your perception of today's event and the comments we have had up to now?
Thank you very much, Mr. Löhr. Yeah, I agree in the main parts with Thomas Dietrich and Andreas Merkel. So, or to correct, Dr. Thomas Dietrich and Dr. Andreas Merkel, sorry. So, but I think when you have something to say and when you have a worthwhile product, then you talk by the heart and you will definitely be understood. You will find a way to explain what is the benefit. Okay. And there's also a question which I would like to give an answer to the audience. I repeat the question. Then can you tell us how to educate our Japanese SMEs CEO to behave as you mentioned? What is the key point for the education? How you teach Fukushima's SMEs presidents about it? So I think there's a very important question. So I asked the participant to give the answer now in the audience. And as Mr. Löhr explained before, I'm a practitioner and I used the time to prepare the answer. So let me show it by this example. So when I was developing myself, yeah, I learned a lot and the glass is totally full. And what I needed to learn first is that when the glass is full, nothing else can be on top. So this is not possible. At first, I needed to accept that there is a different way. And this is what comes first. This is the initial step for an SME in Japan when they want to sell to Germany, that they understand that it works different. I love the Japanese mentality, and this is absolutely important and exemplary. And I also am more than convinced the Germans love it too, but it comes on the second step. When there comes the proof, why is this product excellent? Why is this company excellent? And not at the beginning. And I found two very nice expressions which I type into the laptop. Let me share my screen now. The first expression is, because of having fear to go too far, we often go not far enough. Because of having fear to go too far, we often go not far enough. So we do not try any other way. We only do what we have learned in school or in the past. But when we want to have more success, we need to do the things in another way. And the second expression is, the bait has to taste has to taste good to the fish, not to the fisherman. The bait has to taste good to the fish and not to the fisherman. That means when I want to have success, I need to present in the way that I will be understood from my customer. So that is very, very important. This is what I tried to explain during my speech. So yeah, that was very, very interesting for me also to share these ideas and to get the ideas from the other presenters, and also for this very, very worthwhile question.
Thank you. Let me come back to Axel Karpenstein, your birthday today. I'm afraid I cannot give you your piece of birthday cake through the PC, but let's hear about what your impression was of today's discussion. I mean, listening to you and the facts you presented to us, there are top-class German universities, especially the technical universities and the universities of applied sciences, which we have in all 16 German states, but of course also in NRW. And then we have, of course, excellent Japanese universities, starting with Tokyo University, Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo Tech, Tohoku University, and so on. But how do we bring them even closer together? What is the, because I sense that there are still a lot of hurdles and challenges out there. So what is your, after having spent nearly a year now again in Tokyo, what is your recommendation?
Yeah, thanks very much, Georg, for the question. As from a birthday present, it's already a present to listen to all the presentations today. And I can only second what has been said so far. I think when it comes to cooperating, as firms to cooperating with universities, it's more difficult than selling an actual product, because the benefits are most of the time not quite clear yet. Maybe sometimes you have an idea what kind of technology you're looking for, something very specific, but I think much more often you're just interested in what kind of research is being done and what kind of lessons or what kind of things you can get out of it that you can actually apply at your own corporation. So there's uncertainty involved. It's also not quite clear maybe what you're aiming for. And I think to that extent, it's really important what has been said before. It's important, I think, to be attuned to the other country. I think to know that country, to have experienced it, to have visited it, is an important factor there. so that you have a basis to work from and to overcome resistance. Let me give you one concrete example. One of our clients actually who approached us a while ago. It's a Japanese company interested in German research for a particular area. What the client said was that there was a lot of resistance inside the company actually to try to look overseas, because it seems to involve so much extra labor and so much extra work. Of course, they have partners in Japan, very some of the top universities. So why would you go the extra step? And I think why it works is because the person who approached us, he himself had been working in the past for a German company, has been a regular visitor to Germany, and he knows what's out there. He knows that it's very valuable actually to approach the other country, to find partners there and to engage. You said some advice on how to achieve that. I think it really comes with frequent visits, with frequent personal exchanges. Attending events online is a good substitute, as we have found out. Ideal is, of course, to meet in person, and to get the additional benefit of small talks and exchange personal experiences about your work and about what you're interested in and so on. So it really starts, I think, from personal contacts and from trying to get the other side interested in your country, and then by extension, actually in the work or the opportunities there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think DWIH Tokyo is really doing an excellent job in developing the relations between Japan and Germany at this level. And also, if I look at the supporting institutions who are supporting DWIH Tokyo, I mean, there are, of course, other institutions like from friendly other German states like Bavaria or ourselves. But I'm very happy to see also that there are actually quite a few NRW universities who are engaged in your network, and this makes us very happy. And I think, well, I mean, it's very hard, of course, to stay focused and to stay motivated in this online world if you don't really meet and touch and hear and smell. But on the other hand, of course, we have so much more opportunity to meet people who we really wouldn't meet if we had not this online world. So I hope at least that even if and when normality kind of comes back, that we can keep to some extent this new additional exchange. And we at NRW Global Business are, of course, very happy to continue this dialogue and to support this dialogue. And let me first of all thank all panelists who spoke at the event today. Once again, for your presentations, for your participation in the discussion, and also our guest panelists and from Düsseldorf and Tokyo that you joined in. And please allow me to once again share my screen. And we have today also, I would like to mention my colleagues once again. The contact data here you see where you can follow us on the social media or internet, and also for our Japanese colleagues. And of course, our colleagues in Düsseldorf, Ms. Astrid Becker, I think, is also participating today, and the colleague Wolfgang Janssen, they are also in Düsseldorf to support you in this. And NRW Global Business is, as trade and investment agency, focused now in both directions, supporting Japanese customers in North Rhine-Westphalia, but also supporting NRW companies, be it SMEs or startups or even other companies in their transactions and activities with Japan. And we are very happy that we will be able to provide you with the presentation material from next week on our website. Please go to our website and you will find it there. And we will send out a mail where you will have the link regarding the website. And we would also like to announce that in September and October, we will have a series of events introducing NRW cities and regions. There you will find and meet people from Aachen, Bochum, Cologne, Düsseldorf, Essen, Krefeld and Rhein-Kreis Neuss area, and which will be sometime at the end of September, beginning of October. And in this very intensive series, there will also be a lot of information for companies and partners from research and development for cooperation with these specific regions which will present themselves. And this is also in relation to the cooperation we have signed with Tokyo Metropolitan Government on the 31st of May of this year to support SME companies in both directions and startups. And so these are the cities and regions which will especially be happy to are happy to collaborate with Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Of course, one of the most important regions in Japan. And with that, I look at my clock. Yes, we're reasonably in time, despite the fact that I was a little bit too gracious with my time in the beginning. With that, I would like to wish those of you who are still going to take their summer holidays a wonderful holiday. Don't go anywhere, just stay at home if you're in Japan, because we've got the virus, we have to bring the virus under control. But you still have a full schedule of Olympic games. I mean, the medals keep rolling in. And then in Germany, also please enjoy the summer. And yeah, see you again then in September. And thank you once again, everyone, for coming to today's event. And yeah, Olympics and Paralympics, exactly. We shouldn't forget that. And there is a lot going on there. And Germany still has some room to win some more medals. Exactly. Thank you. Okay, so bye-bye, everyone. And happy to see you again in September. Bye-bye.